Captain Marcus Reed found what he thought was an abandoned puppy shivering in the Nevada desert. But when he scanned its microchip the next morning, everything changed. The puppy's reflexes too fast, its intelligence unnaturally advanced, its eyes holding knowledge no animal should possess. His blood ran cold as the scanner revealed classified military code. What had Marcus really found in that desert? Before we begin, tell us where you're watching from. If this story touches your heart, please subscribe for more incredible true stories. Stay till the end, because what Marcus discovers will leave you speechless. The Nevada desert has a silence that presses down on you. It's not peaceful, it's oppressive, a weight that makes every sound feel like an intrusion. Captain Marcus Reed had grown used to that silence in the 8 months since Afghanistan, since Titan. He sat in his truck at the edge of the runway at Nellis Air Force Base, watching the sun sink below the mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. This was his routine now. Stay late, avoid going home to an empty apartment, avoid the silence that reminded him of everything he'd lost. Marcus was 34 years old, tall and lean, with the bearing of someone who'd spent a decade in military service. His dark hair was cut regulation short, revealing premature gray at his temples. His blue eyes, once sharp and confident, now held a haunted quality, the kind that came from seeing things you couldn't unsee. He'd been one of the youngest pilots to fly the F-22 Raptor, had completed 3 combat deployments with distinction. But all of that felt like a different lifetime now. Now he was just going through the motions, flying training exercises, filling out paperwork, avoiding the base psychologist who kept leaving messages about mandatory counseling sessions. The accident had happened 8 months ago. Marcus had been on a joint operation with Army Special Forces in Helmand Province, providing air support for a high-value target extraction. Titan had been with the ground team, a 3-year-old Belgian Malinois trained for explosive detection. Marcus had met Titan during a previous deployment, had bonded with the dog during long nights on base. Titan's handler, Sergeant Kyle Martinez, had become one of Marcus's closest friends. They'd even talked about Marcus adopting Titan when the dog retired from service, but Titan never made it to retirement. The mission had gone sideways. Intelligence was wrong about enemy positions. The ground team walked into an ambush. Marcus was circling overhead, providing coverage when the call came through. IED. Titan had detected it, alerted his handler, but there wasn't enough time. The blast killed Titan instantly. Kyle lost his left leg below the knee. 2 other soldiers were critically wounded. Marcus had watched it happen from 3,000 feet, had seen the flash on his targeting screen, had heard Kyle's screams over the radio, and had been completely powerless to stop it. The official report said there was nothing anyone could have done, that Titan had saved lives by detecting the IED when he did, that Kyle would have died too if Titan hadn't alerted seconds earlier. Titan was awarded a posthumous medal. Kyle was medically discharged and sent stateside, and Marcus was told to take some leave, process his grief. But how do you process the guilt of surviving when others don't? How do you stop replaying the mission in your head, wondering if there was something you missed? Some sign, some indication that could have changed the outcome. Marcus had stopped sleeping well. Every night when he closed his eyes, he saw the targeting screen, saw the flash, heard Kyle's voice, felt the helplessness of being too far away to matter. He'd started avoiding people, turning down invitations to squadron gatherings, eating alone, spending his off hours driving aimlessly through the desert. His commanding officer had noticed, had ordered him to see the base psychologist. Marcus had gone to one session, sat in the sterile office, and given careful measured answers. Yes, he felt sad about what happened. No, he wasn't having suicidal thoughts. Yes, he understood it wasn't his fault. All lies, of course, but lies delivered with enough conviction that the psychologist had cleared him for duty. Now, Marcus just existed, going through the motions of being a pilot, avoiding anything that reminded him of Titan or Kyle or that day in Afghanistan. Tonight was no different. He sat in his truck, watching the sky darken, trying to convince himself to go home. Finally, at 2100 hours, he started the engine. The drive home took him through the outskirts of the base, past the old training grounds that had been decommissioned years ago. The area was fenced off, with rusting chain-link warnings about unexploded ordnance. Most people avoided it, but Marcus liked the emptiness, the way the desert had reclaimed the abandoned buildings. Nature's way of saying nothing lasts forever. He was about to turn onto the main road when he saw something move. Just a flash in his peripheral vision. Small, low to the ground. Probably a coyote, Marcus thought. But something made him stop. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the years of training to investigate anomalies. Or maybe it was something deeper. A pull he couldn't explain. He reversed the truck and aimed his headlights toward where he'd seen the movement. At first, he saw nothing. Just scrub brush and sand and the skeletal remains of old equipment. Then he saw it again. Something small, huddled behind a concrete barrier. Marcus grabbed his flashlight and got out of the truck. The desert night was cooling fast, dropping from the day's 100-degree heat to something almost comfortable. His boots crunched on gravel as he approached the barrier. "Hey there," he called out softly. A whimper answered him, high-pitched and frightened. Marcus's heart skipped. That wasn't a coyote. He rounded the barrier and aimed his flashlight down. A puppy, small, maybe 8 or 10 weeks old. It was huddled against the concrete, shivering, despite the warmth of the evening. Its fur was matted with dirt and what looked like dried blood. When the flashlight hit its face, the puppy looked up at Marcus, and Marcus froze. The puppy's eyes, they were amber, almost golden, catching the light in a way that seemed wrong. Too intelligent, too aware. For a moment, Marcus felt like he was being evaluated, like the puppy was deciding whether he was a threat. Then the moment passed. The puppy whimpered again and tried to stand. Its front left paw gave out, and it collapsed back down. "Hey, easy." Marcus knelt down, moving slowly. "You're hurt, aren't you?" The puppy watched him approach, not cowering, but not aggressive either, just waiting. Marcus had grown up with dogs, had worked alongside military working dogs throughout his career. He knew how to read their body language. But this puppy, something about it felt different, the way it held itself, the intelligence in those eyes. "It's okay," Marcus said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." He reached out slowly, letting the puppy sniff his hand. The puppy's nose twitched. Then incredibly, it leaned forward and licked his fingers. Marcus felt something crack inside him. Some wall he'd built over the past 8 months. This tiny creature, injured and alone, had decided to trust him. "Okay, buddy, let's get you out of here." He carefully scooped the puppy up. It was lighter than it should be, all bones and matted fur. The puppy tensed for a moment, then relaxed against Marcus's chest. As Marcus carried it back to the truck, he examined it more closely. Definitely a German Shepherd, or mostly German Shepherd. The coloring was right black and tan with distinctive markings, but something about the proportions seemed off. The ears were larger than normal. The paws seemed oversized for its body. And those eyes. Marcus shook his head. He was overthinking it. It was just a puppy, probably abandoned by someone who didn't want to deal with a dog. He settled the puppy on the passenger seat, wrapping it in an old jacket he kept in the truck. The puppy immediately burrowed into the jacket, its small body still trembling. Marcus started the engine and cranked the heat. First thing tomorrow, he'd take it to the base vet. Get that paw looked at. Check for a microchip. Maybe someone was looking for it. As he drove back to his apartment, Marcus kept glancing at the puppy. It had stopped shivering and was watching him with those unusual amber eyes. "You're going to be okay," Marcus found himself saying. "I promise." The puppy made a small sound. Not quite a whine, almost like it understood. At home, Marcus carried the puppy inside and set up a makeshift bed with towels. He filled a bowl with water, and the puppy drank eagerly. Then Marcus scrounged up some leftover chicken from his fridge. The puppy ate carefully, almost delicately, not the frantic gulping of a starving animal, but measured, controlled bites. When it finished eating, the puppy limped over to the towel bed and curled up. Within minutes, it was asleep. Marcus sat on the couch, watching it sleep. For the first time in 8 months, he felt something other than guilt or emptiness. He felt purpose. This puppy needed him, depended on him. And maybe that was exactly what Marcus needed too. That night, Marcus actually slept. Not well, but better than he had in months. He woke once to find the puppy had moved from its bed to the floor beside the couch, watching him. Those amber eyes reflecting the moonlight coming through the window. Morning came with desert sunlight streaming through the blinds. Marcus woke to find the puppy sitting beside the couch, still watching. "Hey there," Marcus said, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "How's that paw?" The puppy stood and walked over, still limping, but less severely than last night. It placed its good paw on Marcus's leg. The gesture was so deliberate, so human almost, that Marcus felt a chill. He shook it off. Dogs were smart, especially German shepherds. This one was probably just well trained. "All right, buddy, let's get you checked out." The base veterinary clinic opened at 0800. Marcus arrived 15 minutes early with the puppy wrapped in a towel. The clinic was a low concrete building near the canine training facilities. Marcus had been here before, with Titan. The memory hit him hard. Titan sitting patiently while the vet examined him. Kyle standing beside them, joking about how Titan ate better than most soldiers. Marcus pushed the memory away. The receptionist, a young airman named Collins, looked up when he entered. "Morning, Captain. What can we do for you?" "Found a stray," Marcus said. "Needs a checkup." Collins peered at the bundle in Marcus's arms. "Oh, poor thing. Let me get Dr. Sullivan." Dr. James Sullivan was the base's chief veterinarian. He was in his late 50s, with grey hair and sharp, intelligent eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Marcus knew him by reputation. Sullivan had been with the Air Force for 30 years, had worked on classified programs involving military working dogs, was considered one of the best in his field. Sullivan emerged from the back, wiping his hands on a towel. "Captain Reed, what have we got here?" "Found him last night near the old training grounds," Marcus said. "Injured paw, maybe dehydrated." Sullivan nodded. "Bring him back." The examination room was sterile and bright. Marcus set the puppy on the metal table. It stood without being prompted, tail neither wagging nor tucked, just standing, watching Sullivan. "Well, aren't you a handsome fellow?" Sullivan said, reaching out to pet the puppy's head. The puppy didn't flinch or pull away, but it didn't lean into the touch either. It just accepted it. Looks like a German Shepherd mix, Sullivan said, examining the puppy's ears. Maybe 8–10 weeks old. He checked the injured paw, gently manipulating it. The puppy made no sound. Doesn't seem broken, Sullivan said. Probably just a sprain. I'll wrap it to be safe. He pulled out a microchip scanner. Let's see if he's got a chip. Marcus watched as Sullivan ran the scanner over the puppy's shoulders. The device beeped. Got one, Sullivan said. He looked at the scanner's display and froze. Marcus watched the color drain from Sullivan's face, watched his eyes widen behind his glasses, watched his hand holding the scanner begin to shake. Dr. Sullivan, Marcus said, what is it? Sullivan didn't answer. He was staring at the puppy, then at the scanner, then back at the puppy. Where? Sullivan's voice was hoarse. Where exactly did you find this dog? Near the old training grounds, Marcus said, by the decommissioned range. Why? Sullivan set the scanner down carefully. His hands were still shaking. Captain Reed, Sullivan said quietly, I need you to wait outside. What? Why? What's wrong? Sullivan looked at Marcus, and Marcus saw something in the older man's eyes. Fear. Please, Sullivan said, just wait outside. I need to make a call. Marcus's military training kicked in. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Not a chance, Marcus said. That's my dog now. I'm not leaving him. Sullivan stared at him for a long moment. Then he sighed. Fine. But you need to understand something, Captain. What I'm about to tell you is classified. Top secret clearance. If you hear this, you're involved whether you want to be or not. Marcus looked at the puppy. It was watching both of them with those unsettling amber eyes. Tell me, Marcus said. Sullivan pulled out his phone, made a quick call speaking in hushed tones. Then he hung up and looked at Marcus. This dog, Sullivan said slowly, shouldn't exist. What does that mean? Sullivan gestured to the scanner. The microchip has a designation I've only seen once before. Project Apex. The words hung in the air. I've never heard of it, Marcus said. You wouldn't have, Sullivan said. It was a DARPA program, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. They were attempting to create enhanced military working dogs. Enhanced how? Sullivan looked uncomfortable. Genetic modification. Combining canine DNA with, he paused, with other genetic material. The goal was to create dogs with enhanced intelligence strength and senses. Perfect soldiers that could operate in environments humans couldn't. Marcus felt his blood run cold. You're saying this puppy is a hybrid, Sullivan said. Part dog, part. He trailed off. Part what? Marcus demanded. Sullivan met his eyes. Part wolf. The room seemed to tilt. Marcus looked at the puppy sitting calmly on the examination table. A wolf hybrid. That's not possible. It was, Sullivan said, at least in a laboratory setting. The program achieved successful genetic integration in 5 subjects. This puppy is Asset Alpha 7, one of the last surviving subjects. Last surviving, Marcus repeated. What happened to the others? Sullivan's expression darkened. The program was shut down 6 months ago. There were complications. The hybrids were too intelligent, too unpredictable. One of them turned aggressive, killed 2 handlers before it was put down. After that, the program was terminated. All subjects were supposed to be euthanized. Marcus felt sick. They were going to kill them. They were considered too dangerous to release, Sullivan said, and too valuable to let fall into enemy hands. Euthanasia was the only option. But someone didn't follow orders. Marcus looked at the puppy. Someone let him go. Apparently, Sullivan said. And now he's here. What happens now? Marcus asked. Sullivan's expression was grim. I called it in. DARPA will send a team to retrieve him. They'll be here within the hour. Marcus felt a surge of protective anger. No, Captain Reed, this isn't your decision. The hell it's not, Marcus said. I found him. He trusts me. I'm not letting them kill him. Sullivan stepped closer, lowering his voice. Listen to me. You don't understand what you're dealing with. This isn't just a dog. It's a weapon, a classified military asset. If you try to interfere... He's not a weapon, Marcus interrupted. He's alive. He has a right to live. Sullivan looked torn. I understand how you feel, but this is beyond both of us. Marcus made a decision. He scooped up the puppy, holding it close. I'm leaving. Captain, you can't. Watch me. Sullivan grabbed his arm. You'll be court-martialed. They'll charge you with theft of government property, obstruction of justice. You'll lose everything. Marcus looked down at the puppy in his arms. Those intelligent amber eyes looked back at him. Trusting. Then I lose everything, Marcus said. But I'm not letting them kill him. He pushed past Sullivan and headed for the door. Sullivan called after him. Marcus, wait. Marcus stopped, turned. Sullivan stood in the doorway looking conflicted. If you're really going to do this, Sullivan said quietly, you need to understand what he is, what he's capable of. Tell me. Sullivan glanced back into the clinic, made sure they were alone. The wolf DNA gives him enhanced senses. He can hear frequencies we can't, see in near total darkness, track scents over miles. But more than that, the genetic modifications enhanced his intelligence. He can understand complex commands, problem solve, even anticipate threats. In some ways, he's smarter than most dogs will ever be. Is he dangerous? Marcus asked. He could be, Sullivan said, honestly. The wolf instincts are there. Predatory behavior, territorial aggression, but he's still young, still forming his personality. If you can socialize him properly, earn his trust, he might turn out fine. Or he might become exactly what they feared, a predator that can't be controlled. Marcus looked down at the puppy again. It was watching the conversation, head tilted, almost like it understood every word. I'll take that chance, Marcus said. Sullivan sighed deeply. Then go. Go now, before the DARPA team arrives. I'll tell them you left before I could stop you. Why are you helping me? Sullivan's expression was sad. Because I was there when they terminated the other subjects. I had to euthanize 3 of them myself. They were just puppies, confused, scared. They didn't understand why they were being killed. He looked away. I've regretted it every day since. Maybe saving this one will help me sleep better. Marcus nodded. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Sullivan said. They'll come looking for him. And when they find you... Marcus set his jaw. Let them come. He turned and walked out of the clinic. His heart was pounding. He'd just committed career suicide, had essentially gone AWOL with classified government property. But as he climbed into his truck and looked at the puppy in the passenger seat, Marcus knew he'd made the right choice. Okay, buddy, he said softly. We're in this together now. Let's get you somewhere safe. The puppy made a small sound, almost like acknowledgement. Marcus started the engine. He had maybe 30 minutes before DARPA arrived, 30 minutes to disappear. He knew he couldn't go back to his apartment. That would be the first place they'd look. He couldn't stay on base, couldn't use his credit cards or his phone. He was effectively a fugitive. Marcus drove off base, using his ID one last time at the gate. The guard waved him through without a second glance. Once he was clear, Marcus pulled into a gas station. He withdrew the maximum from an ATM, $500 in cash. Then he pulled out his phone. There was only one person he could call, one person who might understand. Kyle Martinez answered On the third ring. Marcus. Kyle's voice was surprised. Hey man, it's been a while. I know, Marcus said. I'm sorry. Kyle had been medically discharged 8 months ago, had moved back to his hometown in rural Montana. Marcus had called once right after the discharge, but the conversation had been awkward, painful, neither of them knowing what to say. Marcus had promised to stay in touch, but he hadn't. The guilt had been too much. Don't worry about it, Kyle said. What's up? Marcus took a breath. I need your help. I'm in trouble. There was a pause. What kind of trouble? The career-ending kind, Marcus said. Maybe the prison kind. Another pause, longer this time. Tell me. Marcus explained everything. Finding the puppy, Sullivan's revelation, Project Apex, his decision to run. When he finished, there was silence on the other end. Kyle, Marcus said, you still there? Yeah, Kyle said finally. I'm here, just processing. You really went rogue over a dog. Not just a dog, Marcus said. Marcus struggled to find the words. He's special Kyle, and they were going to kill him. I couldn't let that happen. Kyle was quiet for a moment. You know this is insane, right? I know. You're throwing away your entire career. I know, and you're calling me because I need somewhere to go, Marcus said. Somewhere they won't look, at least not right away. Another long silence. Then Kyle sighed. I've got a cabin, he said. About 50 miles from my place. It's remote, no neighbors. Used to be my grandfather's hunting cabin. Can you get there? Marcus asked. It'll take me a day to drive. I can be there by tomorrow night. I'll meet you there, Kyle said. Get you set up. Kyle, Marcus's voice cracked. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Kyle said. We're both probably going to prison for this. He gave Marcus directions to the cabin, told him where to find the key. Before hanging up, Kyle said one more thing. Marcus? Yeah. What you did? Kyle paused. Titan would have been proud. The line went dead. Marcus sat in his truck, staring at the phone. Then he looked at the puppy. It was watching him with those intelligent eyes. All right, Scout, Marcus said. He'd decided on a name. Let's get out of Nevada. The drive to Montana took 22 hours. Marcus drove straight through, stopping only for gas and bathroom breaks. He paid cash for everything. Avoided toll roads. Kept his phone turned off. Scout was a perfect passenger. The puppy slept most of the way curled up on the seat. But whenever Marcus glanced over, those amber eyes would open. Watching. Always watching. They arrived at the cabin just after sunset the next day. Kyle's grandfather's place was exactly as described. Remote. The cabin sat at the end of a dirt road surrounded by dense pine forest. The nearest neighbor was miles away. Marcus found the key under a loose board on the porch. Inside the cabin was rustic but functional. One large room with a kitchen area, a wood stove, and a bed. A small bathroom off to one side. It smelled like pine and old smoke. Marcus set Scout down on the floor. The puppy immediately began exploring, moving from room to room with surprising confidence. Marcus watched, fascinated. Scout wasn't just sniffing around randomly. The puppy was systematically checking every corner, every doorway, clearing the space, like a trained soldier would. Sullivan's words echoed in Marcus's mind. Enhanced intelligence. Can understand complex commands. Problem solve. Marcus was starting to understand what that meant. Kyle arrived an hour later. Marcus heard the truck coming up the dirt road and stepped outside. Kyle Martinez climbed out of his truck, moving carefully. He'd lost weight since Marcus had last seen him. His left pant leg hung differently, accommodating the prosthetic. But his eyes were the same, sharp, dark, and filled with the kind of awareness that came from combat. Marcus, Kyle said. Kyle. They stood there for a moment. Then Kyle pulled Marcus into a hug. You look like hell, Kyle said. I feel like hell, Marcus admitted. So where's this miracle dog? Marcus led Kyle inside. Scout was sitting by the fireplace, watching the door. When Kyle entered, the puppy stood. For a long moment, Kyle and Scout stared at each other. Then something shifted in Kyle's expression. Jesus, he whispered. Those eyes. I know, Marcus said. Kyle limped over and knelt down slowly. He held out his hand. Hey there, little guy. Scout approached cautiously, sniffed Kyle's hand. Then something remarkable happened. Scout moved closer to Kyle's prosthetic leg, sniffed it carefully, then looked up at Kyle with what could only be described as understanding. Kyle's eyes widened. He knows. He knows I'm injured. Marcus nodded. I think he knows a lot more than we realize. Kyle spent the next hour getting Marcus set up. He'd brought supplies, food, water, a burner phone, everything Marcus would need to stay off the grid. As they worked, Kyle asked questions. What's your plan? Stay here, Marcus said. Train Scout. Figure out what he's capable of. And then what? I don't know, Marcus admitted. Maybe I go public. Expose Project Apex. Kyle shook his head. They'll crush you. National security charges, espionage maybe. You'll spend the rest of your life in Leavenworth. Then what would you suggest? Kyle looked at Scout. The puppy had settled by the fireplace again, watching them with those unsettling, intelligent eyes. Prove he's not dangerous, Kyle said. Show that the program was shut down for the wrong reasons, that these hybrids can be trained, socialized, that they're not weapons, but partners. How do I do that? Document everything, Kyle said. His training, his behavior, his development. Build a case that can't be ignored. And when you have enough evidence, we find someone in Congress who'll listen, someone who can force an investigation. Marcus looked at his friend. Kyle smiled. You didn't think I'd let you do this alone, did you? That night, Kyle left promising to return in a few days with more supplies. Marcus stood on the porch, watching the taillights disappear down the dirt road. Then he turned and went back inside. Scout was waiting, sitting by the fireplace, those amber eyes reflecting the flames. All right, Scout, Marcus said. Let's see what you can do. Over the next 6 weeks, Marcus devoted himself to understanding Scout. And what he discovered was both amazing and terrifying. Scout wasn't just intelligent. The puppy was brilliant. By the end of the first week, Scout had mastered basic commands. Sit, stay, come, heel. But Marcus quickly realized Scout already knew these commands. The puppy was simply humoring him. By the second week, Marcus started teaching more complex behaviors. Scout learned to open doors, to fetch specific items by name, to alert to sounds Marcus couldn't even hear. The puppy's senses were extraordinary. Scout could hear a car coming up the road 5 minutes before Marcus could track scents that were days old, could see perfectly in the dark cabin when Marcus had to use a flashlight. But it was the intelligence that truly amazed Marcus. Scout didn't just follow commands. The puppy understood context, anticipated needs, solved problems. One morning, Marcus woke to find the firewood neatly stacked by the stove. Scout had dragged pieces from the pile outside, one at a time, without being asked. Another time, Marcus accidentally locked himself out of the cabin. Scout opened the door from the inside. Had figured out the latch mechanism. Marcus documented everything, writing detailed notes about Scout's behaviors, taking photos and videos, building the case Kyle had suggested. But Marcus also watched for signs of the aggression Sullivan had warned about, the wolf instincts, the predatory behavior. and he saw glimpses of it. Scout's eyes would track birds and squirrels with intense focus. When a coyote howled in the distance, Scout would go rigid, ears forward, body tense. A low growl rumbling in the puppy's chest. Once when Kyle visited, a stranger was with him, a friend who'd helped with supplies. Scout positioned himself between Marcus and the stranger, teeth bared, the message clear. Marcus worked hard on socialization after that, having Kyle bring different people, teaching Scout that not everyone was a threat. Slowly, Scout began to relax around strangers, to accept them if Marcus did. By the 6th week, Scout had grown considerably, was now the size of a 5-month-old dog despite being only 3 months old. The enhanced genetics were accelerating development, and the bond between Marcus and Scout had deepened. Scout followed Marcus everywhere, slept beside his bed, watched over him with unwavering loyalty. Marcus found himself talking to Scout, really talking not just commands, about Titan, about the guilt he'd carried, about feeling helpless when the people he cared about were hurt. And Scout would sit there, those amber eyes fixed on Marcus's face, listening, understanding, in a way that felt impossible. Then one night, everything changed. Marcus woke to Scout's low growl. The puppy was at the window, hackles raised, staring into the darkness. Marcus got up quietly, grabbed the rifle Kyle had left him. "What is it, boy?" Scout's growl deepened. Then Marcus heard it too. Engines, multiple vehicles coming up the dirt road. His heart sank. They'd found him. Marcus moved quickly, grabbed his go-bag, doused the lights. "Scout," he whispered. "Come." They slipped out the back door into the forest. Scout moved silently beside him. Marcus could hear the vehicles arriving at the cabin, doors slamming, voices calling out. "Captain Reed." A voice amplified by a megaphone. "This is Agent Chen, with DARPA. We know you're here. We're not going to hurt you or Asset Alpha 7. We just want to talk." Marcus kept moving deeper into the forest. Scout stayed close, using his nose to navigate the dark terrain. They hiked for an hour, moving as quietly as possible. Finally, Marcus found a dense thicket. They crawled inside, waiting. Scout pressed against Marcus's side. The puppy's breathing was steady calm. As dawn broke, Marcus heard search teams combing the forest. They were organized professional, using thermal imaging and dogs. But Scout seemed to sense the search pattern, would alert Marcus when teams got close, allowing them to move and avoid detection. For 3 days, they played this game, cat and mouse, through the Montana wilderness. Marcus was exhausted, hungry, cold. But Scout never faltered. The puppy found water, caught small animals to eat, led Marcus to shelter when it rained. On the 3rd night, Marcus's burner phone buzzed. It was Kyle. "Marcus, where are you?" "In the forest." Marcus said quietly. "They found the cabin." "I know," Kyle said. "They questioned me. I told them I didn't know where you were. Listen, there's someone who wants to help. Senator Patricia Coleman. She's on the Armed Services Committee. She heard about Project Apex through back channels, wants to investigate, but she needs testimony, needs you to come in." "They'll arrest me," Marcus said. "Probably," Kyle admitted. "But Coleman can protect you, can guarantee Scout won't be euthanized. She's offering full immunity in exchange for testimony." Marcus looked at Scout. The puppy was watching him, waiting. "How do I know I can trust her?" "You don't," Kyle said. "But what choice do you have? You can't run forever, and winter's coming. You won't survive out there." Marcus knew Kyle was right. "Tell me where to go." 2 days later, Marcus walked into the federal building in Helena, Montana, Scout at his side. Kyle was waiting with a woman in her 50s, sharp-eyed and professional. Captain Reed, Senator Coleman said, "Thank you for coming in." "Do I have your word?" Marcus asked. "That scout won't be harmed." "You have my word," Coleman said, "and the word of the United States Senate." The hearings lasted 3 months. Marcus testified about finding Scout, about Sullivan's revelation, about everything he'd learned during their time in Montana. He presented his documentation, videos of Scout's intelligence and training, proof that the hybrid could be socialized. Sullivan testified too, confirmed the existence of Project Apex, admitted his role in the euthanizations. Other scientists from the program came forward, revealed the full scope of the genetic experiments. The hearings made national news. People were outraged by the program, by the decision to terminate the hybrids. Public opinion swung heavily in Scout's favor. In the end, the Senate committee issued its findings. Project Apex was to be officially declassified, all records made public. The scientists involved faced no criminal charges, but DARPA was ordered to implement new oversight for genetic research. And Scout. Scout was granted legal status as a military working dog, retired from service, with full veteran benefits. Marcus was given full custody. All charges against him were dropped. He was even reinstated to active duty if he wanted. Marcus declined. Instead, he and Kyle started a training program for veterans with PTSD. Pairing them with specially trained dogs, Scout became the program's ambassador, proof that even the most unusual animals could heal broken hearts. 1 year after finding Scout, Marcus stood on a stage in Washington, D.C. Scout beside him, now fully grown, a magnificent animal that drew gasps from the crowd. They were receiving an award for their work with veterans. As Marcus gave his acceptance speech, he looked down at Scout. Those amber eyes looked back, filled with intelligence and loyalty and something else. Love. "A year ago," Marcus said into the microphone, "I thought I was saving a puppy. But the truth is, he saved me." The crowd erupted in applause. Kyle stood in the front row, tears streaming down his face. Sullivan was there too, the old veterinarian who'd helped them from the beginning. After the ceremony, Marcus and Scout walked through the National Mall. It was a beautiful autumn day, the leaves turning gold and red. People stopped to admire Scout, to ask about him. Marcus told them the story, about finding an abandoned puppy, about discovering he was something more, about choosing to save him when everyone else said he should be destroyed. That evening, Marcus and Scout returned to their hotel. Kyle was waiting with takeout and beer. The three of them sat on the balcony, watching the sun set over the monuments. "You know," Kyle said, "a year ago, if you'd told me we'd be here, I'd have said you were crazy." "We are crazy," Marcus said with a smile. "That's why it worked." Scout made a sound, almost like agreement. Both men laughed. "Think they'll ever try again?" Kyle asked. "Try to create more hybrids?" "I don't know," Marcus said, "but if they do," he looked at Scout, "they'll have to do it right, with respect for the lives they're creating." As the stars came out, Marcus thought about the journey, from that night in the Nevada desert, finding a shivering puppy behind a concrete barrier, to this moment, sitting on a balcony in the nation's capital with his best friend and a dog that shouldn't exist. Scout rested his head on Marcus's lap, those amber eyes closing in contentment. For the first time since Titan's death, Marcus felt complete. The guilt hadn't disappeared, probably never would, but it no longer controlled him. He'd found purpose again, found a reason to keep going, and it was all because of Scout, the puppy he'd almost left behind, the hybrid the government had wanted to destroy, the creature that had become his salvation. Sometimes, Marcus thought, the things we save end up saving us. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to our channel. Share it with someone who loves dogs, and leave a comment about where you're watching from. Remember, every life matters, even the ones that seem impossible. Thank you for watching.